Five great writers who died young. Number 5. Arthur Rimbaud, died aged 37. French poet and adventurer who won renown among the symbolist movement and markedly influenced modern poetry. As a boy he was a restless but brilliant student. By the age of 15 he had won many prizes and composed original verses and dialogues in Latin. In 1870 his teacher Georges Isambard became Rimbaud's literary mentor and his original French verses began to improve rapidly. He frequently ran away from home and may have briefly joined the Paris Commune of 1871. His poem L'Orgie Parisienne. He returned to Paris in late September 1871 at the invitation of the eminent symbolist poet Paul Verlaine, after Rimbaud had sent him a letter containing several samples of his work, and resided briefly in Verlaine's home. Verlaine, who was married, promptly fell in love with the sullen, blue-eyed, overgrown, 5 feet 10 in, light brown-haired adolescent. They became lovers and led a wild, vagabond-like life spiced by absinthe and hashish. They scandalized the Parisian literary coterie on account of the outrageous behavior of Rimbaud. The archetypical enfant terrible, who throughout this period continued to write strikingly visionary verse. Rimbaud stopped writing at the age of 21. After living in Africa for many of the following years, Rimbaud developed right knee synovitis and subsequently a carcinoma in his right knee. He died in Marseille at the age of 37. Number 4. He died aged 30. Emily Bronte wrote under the pseudonym of Ella Spell. She was an English novelist and poet who produced but one novel, Wuthering Heights, 1847, a highly imaginative novel of passion and hate set on the Yorkshire moors. Emily was perhaps the greatest of the three Bronte sisters, but the record of her life is extremely meager, for she was silent and reserved and left no correspondence of interest, and her single novel darkens rather than solves the mystery of her spiritual existence. She died of tuberculosis at the age of 30. Number 3. Sylvia Plath, died aged 30. Sylvia Plath was an American poet and novelist whose best-known works are preoccupied with alienation, death, and self-destruction. Plath published her first poem at age 8. She entered and won many literary contests and while still in high school sold her first poem, to 17 magazine. She entered Smith College on a scholarship in 1951 and was a calendar of the Mademoiselle magazine fiction contest in 1952. Despite her remarkable artistic, academic, and social success at Smith, Plath suffered from severe depression and underwent a period of psychiatric hospitalization. She killed herself with gas from an oven at the age of 30. Number 2. Alain Fournier, died aged 27. Alain Fournier is the pseudonym of Henri Albin Fournier, a French writer whose only completed novel, La Grande Menace, 1913, The Wanderer, or The Lost Domain, is a modern classic. Based on his happy childhood in a remote village in central France, Alain Fournier's novel reflects his longing for a lost world of delight. The hero, an idealistic but forceful schoolboy, runs away and at a children's party in a decrepit country house meets a beautiful girl. The rest of the novel describes his search for her and for the house and the mood of wonderment he knew there. Its outstanding quality is evocation of an atmosphere of otherworldly nostalgia, against a realistically observed rural background. Number 1. Thomas Chatterton, died aged 17. Thomas Chatterton was a chief poet of the 18th century Gothic literary revival, England's youngest writer of mature verse, and precursor of the Romantic movement. At first considered slow in learning, Chatterton had a tearful childhood, choosing the solitude of an attic and making no progress with his alphabet. One day, seeing his mother tear up as waste paper one of his father's old French musical folios, the boy was entranced by its illuminated capital letters, and his intellect began to be engaged. He learned to read far in advance of his age but only from old materials, music folios, a black-letter Bible, and muniments taken by his father from a chest in the church of St. Mary Redcliffe. Though literally starving, Chatterton refused the food of friends and, on the night of August 24, 1770, took arsenic in his Holborn garret and died.